Hi, I'm Sandy, and today we're going to be doing a practice for the water element, which is for the kidney and the bladder meridians. Really good to do in the winter time, which is more of like heating up and just getting that flow moving in the body, getting that chi moving around. So we're going to begin in a seated position, so you can sit whatever is comfortable for you. If you want to just grab like a pillow or a cushion to sit on, or blankets, whatever you have. And then for this practice, all you're going to need for props is going to be probably a bolster or maybe a couple extra pillows. And then a couple of yoga blocks would be helpful. Even a chair is, some people like to do a chair, so you could have that available to you as well, so you're supported. And we're going to begin with just some breathing and just kind of going inside and seeing what's going on. So let's begin with our eyes closed. And then if you want to bring your pinky and your thumb to touch, and we'll just tap into that element of the water. So palms can be facing upwards or downwards if you need more grounding. And then closing your eyes, just start to become aware of your breath as it flows in and out of your nose. Scanning through the body. So we're just checking in, seeing how the breath is flowing. If you notice if it's short or shallow, try not to judge it. Just work on, expanding the breath down into the lungs, maybe lengthening that in breath, feeling it move down to the rib cage, maybe down to the belly. And if you notice that your mind is really busy with thoughts, just try to set those aside. Maybe just thinking about like a lake or maybe a stream, just kind of water flowing through. Thinking about setting aside those thoughts and letting them just float on by. And then just feeling the ebb and the flow of your breath as it moves in and out of your nose. Focusing your attention either at the nostrils or maybe at the chest where you can feel the breath. So just find a place where you can really focus on the incoming and the outgoing breath. And then start to bring your awareness to the space between the in-breath and the out-breath. So as you follow your breath in, and then right before you exhale your breath out, there's a little space there, maybe a pause of a second or two. And then you'll exhale your breath out all the way out. And then noticing that space at the end of your exhale before your inhale comes along. And then again, inhaling all the way in, noticing that space, and then exhaling the breath out, noticing the space. So start to follow the breath all the way in, finding that little pause at the end, and feel free to extend it, maybe 2 or 3 counts if you want. And then you're going to follow your breath all the way out to the end, and then noticing the space at the end, perhaps holding the breath out for 2 to 3 counts. And then just continue breathing like that. We're just focusing on the spaces between the breaths. And just 1 or 2 more of those. And then just returning to your natural breath as it moves in and out of your nose. You can release the mudra, just start to wiggle the fingers, and then just gently allow your eyes to open. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab a couple of props and we're going to prop up our knees. So if you want to put a blanket or something, fold your mat up so that your knees feel supported, you can go ahead and do that. Or maybe even a wrist, might want to roll up the front of your mat, like if you want to support your wrist in any way. We're going to come to tabletop. So let's go ahead and spread the fingers out wide. And then knees are going to be right underneath the hips and shoulders and wrists are in line. So let's go ahead and spread the fingers and we'll move through our cat and cow, but I want you to start your inhale first and then start to lift up the tailbone all the way through your chest open like the crown lift. And then when you're ready to exhale, we'll start with the chin lowering toward the chest. And then you're going to round your spine ending at the tailbone. And as soon as you're ready to inhale, you'll start the breath first, then lift the tailbone, moving all the way up the spine through the crown. And then when you're ready to exhale, chin comes to chest, and then all the way through to the tailbone. So letting the breath initiate the movement here. And then you can move, depending on your breath. If you have a shorter breath, it's going to be a little faster. If you have a longer extended breath, your movement is going to be slower. So just honor that wherever you are. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine, right? So I'm breathing a little bit longer. So maybe you have a longer breath or maybe you have a shorter breath, but you're going to stay with your own breathing pattern. We're going to take 3 more rounds. And then we're going to move into a child's pose. And you're welcome to support your child's pose in any way that you want. And if you don't want to do child's pose or it's not comfortable in your body, then you can just find your way into a seated position. Okay, so finding your way into either a child's pose or to a seated position and closing the eyes. And if you want to support the head, you can put your hands there. You can put a block underneath of it. And then just in whatever shape that your body is in, I want you to just feel your breath as it flows in and out of the nose, in and out of the body. And then whether you're seated or in child's pose, we're going to reach our hands behind your back. So if your head doesn't touch the floor, go ahead and grab a block to support the head. And we're going to do our fists and we're just going to massage around the back, right around the rib cage, the bottom of the ribs where your kidneys are. And we're just doing a little bit of warming of the kidneys. So just taking your fist, massaging there on the low back. Continuing to breathe. Try to generate some heat here. Especially if you get cold, like especially in the wintertime, you sometimes get really cold hands or cold feet, or just feel really cold in the body. This is a great way to warm things up. Go ahead and let go of that warming, and then we're going to make our way into tabletop. So we are going to be moving through the flow. So I'll show you the flow, and then you're going to move at it at your own pace with your own breathing, and you can modify it however you need to do. I'm going to keep this pad underneath my knees. We're going to start in tabletop. All right, so we're going to inhale, we're going to go cow pose, and then we're going to exhale round, cat pose, and then slowly lift your tailbone, reach your hips back towards your heels into a child's pose. And then as you inhale, come back to table. We're going to bring the hands back towards the thighs as we stand on the knees. And then inhale both arms up, looking up. And then as you exhale, just let your arms stretch forward here. We're going to slide them forward, lower the forearms, and then keep bringing your upper body forward to land in a Sphinx pose. And then just lower your chest, draw your hands back under shoulders. Inhale, lift up, cobra. And then you're going to press all the way into tabletop. And then reach the hips back to child's pose. Drag the hands in. All the way up, lifting, looking up. Exhale, diving forward. Hands sliding forward to forearms. bringing the body down to the earth. Exhale, lower chest, draw the hands back under the shoulders. Inhale, lifting up through your cobra pose, and then keep pushing yourself all the way back into child. And then slowly drag the hands towards the legs. Use your in-breath, rising up. Exhale as you stretch the arms forward, land the hands, slide them forward. Lower your hips, Sphinx pose. Exhale, lower chest, and draw the hands back under shoulders. In-breath is going to lift you into cobra and all the way up into tabletop. Exhale, child's pose. And then as you start your inhale, dragging your hands back. Keep the inhale flowing in as the arms reach up. Exhale, diving forward. And then lower the chest, drag the hands back. Inhale, lift, keep coming all the way up. Let's go about 3 more rounds on your own. And then just using the breath wherever you think you need that support. Don't hold the breath. And then whenever you're finished, we'll end in a child's pose. And then just making your way to child's pose as soon as you're finished, supporting the head, checking in with the breath, noticing the mind too, if you still feel really busy, or if the mind is starting to slow down and quiet. All right, extending the arms forward, we're going to come back to tabletop, and we're going to tuck the toes under, preparing for downward facing dog pose. So as you push down into your hands, we're going to tuck the toes under, we're going to float the knees, and then slowly start to push your hips up and back. And then you could add movement. You could pedal out your feet, shake out the head and neck, or you can hold in stillness. So see what you need here. Tap into the breath. One more round, and then we're going to slowly walk your feet and your hands towards each other, coming into a standing forward bend. So you could grab some supports here, pressing your hands down into the ground or into yoga blocks, or you can use a chair. And we're pressing down into the feet, lifting all the way up. So we're working on the backs of the legs, all the way up the spine to the head. This is for the bladder meridian line. From the eyes, the scalp, the neck, the whole spine, all the way down through the glutes, the hamstrings, all the way down to your feet. Take your time as you push down into your feet. We're going to slowly unfurl, standing up and finding your mountain pose. You can close your eyes and then just pushing down into your big toe mountain. So our kidney one meridian line is on the bottom of the foot. That's where the kidney line begins. So feel anchored to the earth through kidney one. Inhale, arms reach up, so to extended mountain pose. And then as you exhale, let your arms sweep out to the side. Go ahead and move back into your forward fold. And then we'll just move our blocks and any props that you have on your mat. You're just going to move those aside. We're going to walk the hands out. We're going to go plank pose. So take up space on your mat. Feel strong as you push the earth away. And then lower yourself down to your belly again.
Reaching long through your big toes, stretch the arms long by your side with thumbs down, pinkies up. Preparing for locust pose. We're going to push down into hips and pubic bone, lift up the legs, pull the shoulders away from the floor, lift the arms. But keep your gaze looking down at the ground, so you're not lifting the head up. Just feel the length in the body as you breathe in and out. Like you're floating on the water here. So a sense of grounding to the earth with the bones, and then a lifting away from the earth with the breath. Next, exhale, slowly release, let everything just melt down to the earth. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, side out. Draw your hands under the shoulders. We're going to push up. Tabletop position. Tucking the toes under, lifting the knees up, downward facing dog pose. Deep breath in and out. One more breath. And then we'll step our feet together and we're going to pick up the right foot. So as you lift it up, just send it straight back. And then bending your knee, we're going to bring it into the chest. Look forward as you step your foot forward. Landing it down and coming into a runner's lunge. And then again, you can use your yoga blocks for support. As you push down into your hands, we're going to lift the chest. Take a deep breath in, and then as you exhale, we'll step forward with the left foot, standing forward, bend. Press down into your feet. We'll take the arms overhead. Inhale, and then exhale to your mountain pose. Closing your eyes. Breathing in and out. And then opening the eyes. Inhale, reaching up, extended mountain. Exhale to fold. And then we're going to step back into plank pose. So you're in your top of the push-up position. Push out through the heels, lengthen through the crown. Exhale, making your way down to the earth with grace. Landing. Pushing down into the hip bones, pubic bone, and then arms are down by your side with the thumbs down, pinkies up. Go ahead and ground through the pubic bone, hip bones, float your legs up, pull the front of the shoulders away from the earth, lift your arms, feel length and space. Breathing in and out. And one final breath, and then on your exhale, melt down to the earth. Inhale, exhale, let go, and then bending your elbows, placing them under shoulders. We're going to push back into a child's pose first. Knees wide, big toes touching. Inhale, come forward to table, tuck the toes under, downward facing dog pose. Stepping your feet together, and then this time the left leg lifts. Knee bends, pulling it into your chest. As you look forward, go ahead and step forward, and then using blocks if you need them, lifting your chest away from your thigh, and then pushing out through the right heel. Inhale, exhale, and then we'll step forward with the right, standing forward bend, pressing down as the arms reach all the way up. Exhale, mountain pose. Just take a moment to check in, connect to the breath, feel your body, noticing the sense of calmness, maybe some heat starting to build. And then reopen the eyes. Okay, so we are going to step on the long side of our mat. You can keep your blocks there if you want them. We're stepping out into like a 5-pointed star. So make sure your feet are parallel, that your toes are pointing to the front edge, ground through the 4 corners of your feet, and reach the arms apart here. And your gaze is going to be straight ahead. Take a deep breath in and slowly hinging from your hips.
You can pause at the halfway point, bring your hands up to your waist. You can place your hands on yoga blocks or down to your mat. So we're going to stay here for a bit, just focusing on pressing into your kidney 1 point. So the big toe mound presses into the earth. Feel the lifting of the arches up the inner legs. Okay, so we're going to lift up the heels while we're here. We're going to turn the heels in and then bend your knees coming all the way up. We'll go into goddess pose. So we're going to have the knees out, turned out, and then we'll take the arms out wide. So we'll go ahead and bring the palms together at the heart, sink down, lifting up the toes and then pressing and grounding through those big toe mounds. So inhale, we're going to straighten the legs, so squeeze those inner thighs, take the arms up over your head, and then exhale, bend the knees, bring your hands back to heart. Inhale, rising up, exhale, sinking in. 2 more rounds. So we're going to end here in goddess. And then bring your hands to your inner thighs. We're going to hinge forward just a little bit so we can add a little rotation here. So we're going to turn to one direction. You're going to look over the shoulder. You'll come back to the center and then switch. So keep those legs nice and strong here. The hands are kind of helping you to keep the inner thighs apart, still grounding through the feet. Take one more round. Ending in the center. Hands to heart center, straighten the legs. Release the arms and we'll heel toe our foot together, coming back to stand in mountain pose. Okay, so we are going to start tapping on our K27 points. We're just below those collarbones. So if you take your fingers and kind of go to the center, walk your fingers out maybe 2 finger widths, 3 finger widths past that center notch, and then just go below the bone. And then you can either take your fingers and circle or you can do some light tapping here. Kidney 27, the last point on the kidney meridian line, when we did the first one is going to be at the bottom of your foot. We'll play with that more when we come down to the floor. Just take some deep breaths in and out of your nose as you do this light tapping or light pressure. And then we're going to go up to the bladder meridian. The first point's up here are going to be just inside of your eyebrows, inner corners of your eyes. And you can either just do 1 finger, kind of push up and circle around. And let's go ahead and shake off those hands. And we'll step our feet out wide again to that 5-pointed star. And we're just going to do a warrior flow just to kind of get into that water element. So we're going to pick up your right toes, you're going to turn them out, lower the foot down, bend the knee. We're going to keep our back leg straight, but you want to turn that foot in a little bit so you can feel really strong and anchored. Press into your big toe mounds. Slowly turn your gaze forward. You can keep your palms up or down. So we'll inhale, reach up and back, reversing your warrior. And then you're going to exhale, go right into your side angle pose, extending the top arm over. We're going to do 2 circles around with the arm. So 1 and 2, come back to warrior 2. We're going to repeat that again. So inhale, and then exhale, side angle. 2 breaths, 2 circles. Back to warrior 2. And again, in and out. In and out. Back to warrior 2. Last one. Reaching back. Side angle. 2 circles. Warrior 2. Turn your feet. We're going to go right to the other side. Left foot turns out, sinking in, warrior two. Press into those big toe mounts, arms wide, gazes forward. Inhale, reaching back. Side angle pose. 2 circles. Warrior two. Reverse. Side angle. 2 circles. And again. So don't lose your breath. Stay anchored to it. Don't get ahead of it. Don't get behind it. Stay right there with it. Okay, and this time coming back to warrior two. Turning the feet parallel. Arms reach down. Roll the shoulders back. Slowly hinge from your hips. Come all the way down. Hands come to the mat. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slowly make our way down. So you're going to walk your feet in. And if you want to grab your blanket, you can place it underneath of the heels. Right? So it's going to help with a little bit. You can also do this in the chair. So if you can come all the way down to your squat, heels are supported, big toes pressing down. And then I'm going to get you into another variation of that. So you can use your blocks. If you can, bring your knees up onto the blocks and bring your feet in closer and sit back on your heels. So you're stretching the bottom of your foot. If this is too much for you, you can modify it. You can also bring that blanket underneath of your bottom to help support the knees a little bit. Or like I said, you can do it in the chair. So hands can rest here on your thighs. You can also just let them relax down by your side. And just focus is going to be on the bottom of your foot, big toe mound, stretching out the fascia. Return to your breathing. Your last 2 breaths. All right, and then you're going to make your way down to seated. We're going to go into a seated cobbler pose. So we'll be bringing the soles of your feet together. I like to always have some sort of props there for your thighs. Right, so the outer thighs are not supported. A lot of times what happens is one leg will drop and the other one won't. So we want to make sure that they're even on both sides. So as you press the soles of your feet together, I want you to press all of your toes together, the heels together, and the toe mounds together. And you can sit up nice and tall here. I'm going to show a couple different variations. So tall spine, eyes closed. You can do mudra. You can always do water, or you can just do earth. Thumb, index finger, thumb, pinky. Or you could add movement, right? So circles are nice, or just maybe rocking forward and back feels good. You can add torso circles. Right, so close your eyes and then just let your body decide what it wants to do. Sometimes we want to move and sometimes we want to be still. So honoring that. Sometimes we like to just come into a more deeper variation, which you would just fold into it. And again, just working on to open up those inner legs where the kidney meridian is on the inner legs. And also forward folding helps to activate some of the bladder points on the back. And then just maybe 2 to 3 more breaths wherever you are. And then slowly bring your knees up, and then we're going to separate the legs. We'll go into that wide-legged seated forward fold this time. And again, you can slide forward, just make sure feel like your tailbone and sitting bones are grounded here, and that you're not in a more of a pelvic tuck or more of a tilted position so you can feel like the sitting bones are moving back and apart, and that'll just help you to get deeper into your stretch. You could also put a bend in the knee and press your heels down if your hamstrings are tighter. Right, so we're working on both the bladder and the kidney line here. We're going to be here for a bit, so I would recommend grabbing some things to support you. So you can use yoga blocks. You can also, if you have one available, you could use a bolster, which is nice for support. And you can either put that on the ground, or you can prop it up with blocks or put yoga blocks on top of it. All right, so you can arrange them whatever way. I like to support my head with that. So you're going to sit up tall, and you can slide your hands down your legs and just rest your forehead right on the edge of the block there. So you are getting some stimulation in these points here from the bladder that come up, right? So they're going to come up and over the top of the head there. So place that there. You can also roll the head a little bit right to left, which massages that area and feels really nice. It's also very relaxing. And it just helps you to relax into the posture. So we're thinking about the bladder that comes down the back of the head, down the spine, to the backs of the legs, and then from the kidney coming up from the bottom of the foot, up the inner legs, all the way up to below the collarbones. And you can always add that a little bit of warmth. You take a blanket, you have an extra one, and just kind of throw it over your back, which I love to do in the winter time. It just feels very nurturing, just to kind of have that warmth around you while you're in the posture. So you feel a sense of protection and warmth. And you're welcome to stay in this pose for a few more minutes if you want to. I'm going to kind of come out of it now, but you can always pause the video and then just stay in it for a few more minutes if you want, if you're really comfortable there. If you're ready to come out, you can go ahead and make your way. We're going to come down to the earth, and then just keeping your supports around you to use as we get ready for our Shavasana. We're going to do a recline twist next. So if you want to use that, anything for support, I'm going to use a blanket just for some support there. So go ahead and lay down on your back. And then before we do anything, let's just go ahead and do another check-in here. So we're laying on our backs. So I want you to check in with the spine, the backs of the legs, the bottoms of your feet, your inner thighs, and then all the way up the whole front of your body. Notice your breathing. Okay, so we're going to bend our knees and place your feet flat on the floor. And let's go ahead and separate those feet so they're about as wide as your mat. And we'll start out with just letting the knees drop over to one side, back through the middle, and then to the other. We'll start with just some windshield wipers here before we go into our twist. And just checking into with the waist and the low back, anything that might be irritated. And you always want to honor that in the body as we move into these twisting postures. So you're going to have a couple different ways you can do this. You could use a yoga block between your thighs, keeping the knees bent, and then you just lift up your hips, do a little hip shift to the right, and let both of your knees drop over to the left side, and you'll have the knees bent. And you can take your arms into a cactus, head can turn or stay centered. So that's one variation. You could also just bring one knee into your chest and cross it over, and then just maybe support it with a folded blanket or even a yoga block too would work.
A little deeper twist here. And then anything in between that, right? Something that feels different to you, something that you like, a variation that you enjoy, that you can be here and rest. Just letting everything settle into the ground. So we're not efforting, we're not holding. So if you feel like you are efforting, go ahead and make an adjustment so that you can feel like your body is dropping into the ground. And we're just letting go. And the sense of ease. And when you're ready to come out of it, go ahead and move back to the center. The feet flat on the floor. You can do a couple more windshield wipers before we switch to the other side. And then any variation of your twist that you like. Well, I think yoga block is nice. Go back to that. You can even just do a windshield wiper, drop it in, and then you can lift up the right foot and just gently place it on that outer left thigh. That's a nice variation too. It does give you a little bit more stretch here on the low back. So just be mindful of that. Or use the block between the thighs. Last couple of breaths, and you'll start to transition, rolling onto your back again, hugging your knees into your chest. Add that little hug. You can rock, you can circle. If you want to take a happy baby pose, you can go ahead and hold on to your ankles, inner ankles. You can hold on to your feet, arches of your feet. If you can find that kidney one at the bottom of your foot, right below the big toe mound, you can a little pressure down into that and push those feet up towards the sky. And then go ahead and release your arms and legs. Stretch them up towards the sky and we'll circle the wrists and circle the ankles both directions. And then we're going to shake it all out. So just letting go of anything that you're holding on to so you can rest, ease. And I'm going to set up for Stonehenge for my Shavasana. I'm not sure how to do that. This is a really nice one, really great for the low back. I would definitely have something for the head. So maybe you want to use a folded blanket to support and cradle the head and neck. And then for the Stonehenge, you'll use 2 yoga blocks and a bolster. And then you want to have something to cover yourself up with, since we're talking about being warm, right? Warmth of the body. So 2 yoga blocks standing on their ends, and then you're going to put your bolster right on top of it. So make sure it's nice and sturdy. And then when you come into the posture, just make sure that you get the backs of your knees up against the front edge. So as you come into it, try to make it close so there's no space there. Okay, so get it there, and then you can come all the way down onto your back, supporting that head. And then your additional blanket, you could just leave it like folded up and just cover up the torso. So the hips and the belly and the chest perhaps covered up, or you could cover up your entire body, right? From the feet all the way up to the neck. It just depends, like if it's cold where you are or warm. So if it's warm, you might not want to cover all the way up, might be too hot. Regardless if it's winter and it's chilly, you might want to feel that warmth. So just nourishing the body here, receiving energy from the ground, energy from your breath. So let's work on the awareness of the spaces between your breath again. So you breathe in, follow your breath all the way in, noticing that little pause between the in-breath and the out-breath. And then as you exhale all the breath out, that pause at the end of your exhale before the next inhale comes along. And you're welcome to hold the breath at that point, maybe extend it out a little bit longer, maybe 3 to 4 counts, or just keep it, really short, like maybe 1 to 2. Whatever you're comfortable with. And we'll do that for about 8 rounds. And then I'm just going to have you go right into your relaxation. So you're not counting, we're not worried about holding the breath, we're just breathing naturally and letting go of tension. About 4 more rounds of awareness of the spaces between the in-breath and the out-breath. And then letting that all fall away. Just coming into your natural breath, whatever that is for you. And then just feeling your whole back body being supported, back of your head, the neck, the spine, the backs of your legs. Let the front of your body drop into the back of your body. And just relaxing your scalp and your forehead right down to the inner corners of your eyes. Let your eyes relax, your temples, your ears, your jaw. Just making sure that's unclenched. Let your tongue rest gently in your mouth. Soften the lips. Noticing where you feel your breath, whether it's at the nose, or the chest, or the throat. Resting your awareness there. So we'll start by wiggling the toes and then wiggling the fingers. And then slowly starting to spread the movement up the arms and legs, and then just moving into a stretch with the arms over your head, extending your legs. And then you can bend your knees. You can place them on top of your bolster. If it falls over, don't worry about it. And then if you're covered up, go ahead and gently remove those off to the side. And then just let your knees fall into your chest. Give yourself a little hug, rock. And then we're going to ease very slowly to your favorite side. And then try to keep your eyes closed as you press yourself up to seated. That way you stay inward in your practice and just make your way into your comfortable seat, whatever that is. Still keeping the eyes closed. And then we'll draw our palms together, placing thumb knuckles at your heart. So we'll start just in this gesture of gratitude. So just take this moment to thank yourself for taking time out of your day to care for yourself, especially when we really need to nourish the bodies in our winter time, nourishing the kidney and the bladder, meridians. And then we'll inhale, bring the thumb knuckles up to your third eye point, the space between your eyebrows. The light in you honors the light in you. Thank you and namaste.